Yo, what's up, guys? Do you wish you had a clear-cut way to see what improvements you should be making to your video efforts that will have a major impact on the results that you're getting? Well, if you're not sure what or how to track your video analytics properly, but beyond just like how many people viewed it or watched it, well, today's episode is for you. I'm Todd from Ziotag.com, and today we're talking about video analytics. So if you want to understand more about the metrics around your video efforts, whether it's for content marketing, sales videos, VSLs, if you're doing webinars and online presentations, or e-learning and online courses, then you got to stick around and hear what we're doing today, because we have world-leading analytics expert Chris Mercer from measurementmarketing.io joining us, and we cover what the simple mistakes that most people make when they're getting started with tracking their video analytics, how to plan out your video strategy, your video analytics strategy, so that your actual tracking and dashboards are easy to create and use, what KPIs you should be monitoring in your video analytics dashboard, are there baseline metrics for you to understand better if your video is doing great, terrible, or just mediocre, where you can find some inspiration for your video strategies and your analytics strategies, but you didn't know you had to have an analytics strategy for this stuff, and about a dozen other golden nuggets sprinkled throughout the episode. So stick around to watch for that, and if you want more great free resources, then you can get started at ziotag.com/measurementmarketing, and that'll give you access to Mercer's free templates and tools and resources for making your video analytics tracking faster and easier for you, so that you can make all the improvements that you need. And of course, if you don't yet have your free Ziotag account, head over to ziotag.com and sign up right now. And now let's get started with the episode. Without further ado, here is my friend Chris Mercer from measurementmarketing.io. All right, Chris Mercer from measurementmarketing.io. Thank you so much for joining the show. To kick things off, why don't you just give a little background on who you are and what you guys have going on, and how it's relevant for the video space.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Chris Mercer. As you mentioned, everybody calls me Mercer. I'm the co-founder of a company called measurementmarketing.io. And basically, we help marketers, marketing teams, and agencies figure out what their numbers are. So it's like, know your numbers, and then ultimately what to do to grow those numbers. Primarily, we do this through a lot of training programs, some done for you work, but tools like Google Analytics and figuring out how to use analytics to actually get results from it, Tag Manager to get the right information being stored, Data Studio for building out dashboards that actually give you answers, that sort of thing. And specifically how it relates to video is obviously video is one of those things that people want to measure. So we help people learn how to do that as well.
All right, awesome. So, let's get started with the basics. So people, a lot of our audience, they're creating videos already, they're publishing videos, but maybe they want to get better, but they don't know how. So what kind of numbers should they be looking at, and what should they be tracking when they are publishing videos? How should they think about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question, because we get asked this a lot, whether it's for video or an e-commerce site or direct response funnel, or what if I'm a content marketer? And I'll tell you, the answer is almost always the same, which is you just need to know two things, really. One is, what are the results that I'm getting, right? And then how am I getting those results? So it's those two things that you're looking for. In the case of video, that's going to be, if you think about it kind of like that customer journey or that funnel that person is going through, it's going to be how many times was that video even the thing? Like how many times was it available for somebody to interact with, like the impression count, right? Then it would be, of those times, how many was actually played? Now, this will be differently measured based upon if it's an autoplay video, because then that number really doesn't matter, right? Because it's like, okay, well, everybody plays it, but really, are they, right? Yeah. So you measure the sort of the spirit behind that number. But let's say, yes, they have to interact and play with it, and then they play the video. Now it's, okay, how far did they watch, right? What was the engagement of that video or of that messaging? And then finally, from there, did I get the result that I was looking for? So in that engagement, was the call to action actually followed from that video, right? Specifically from a marketing standpoint. Obviously, in YouTube and content-oriented videos, maybe you're doing like likes and dislikes and brand awareness and all that sort of stuff as well. But from a marketing standpoint, it's going to be, is the video doing its job? And that means that when you create the video, you should be creating it with, this video is going to do this thing. So it's either going to make people aware of my brand, and you measure for that as the result, or it's going to help people engage with my brand, and you're going to measure that as a result. Or it's going to get them to be ready, so now they can take the action I want them to take, which is maybe becoming a lead for something, or purchasing a product, right, or service. So you measure for that. So I think that's kind of the basic steps when it comes to video.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great, and I think it's important for everybody to keep it simple, start simple, and really look at that kind of stuff when they're looking at their video metrics. Now, What are, what are some easy, or I should say, mistakes, simple mistakes that you see people making when they first get started measuring their videos that, out of the gate, they could have just, instead of going left, you should have went right. And it's just as easy to do both, but they did the wrong thing. What are some of those course correcting things that people can jump in, when they're getting started?
Yeah, first is not setting up measurement, right? So let's just start with the very basic, which is most people say, okay, well, how are my videos working? Let's go find out, and there's nothing there. It just shows like, here's how many, maybe video views. You're like, well, I know 30,000 people watch my video, but what happened? And you're like, I don't know, because I never set it up. So you have to plan ahead, and I think that kind of brings us to mistake number 2. People don't plan ahead and think, okay, what is the purpose of this video? How will I know it's achieving the purpose? And in that might be something like you're UTMing certain calls to action so they show up properly in Google Analytics, right? Or you're tagging certain things in the video to let you know when they saw the let's say the pitch, or when you had your testimonial phase of your messaging come across. You can measure for things like that, right? You can tag those in certain platforms as well. And so you can actually come through and build it all out, but you have to think it through first. So you always start with that end in mind. What's the purpose of the video? How will I know it achieved its purpose? And what platform is actually going to measure that? And then once you've got that, then the next stage is just build it out. And at that point, there's very few mistakes because you've thought it ahead, right? Because you've done that planning. And then it's just a matter of testing it. So don't assume, and this would be the other mistake, we call it TBV here a lot, trust but verify is what it stands for. Yeah. But it's don't assume that you just set it up correctly. Assume you set up the measurement incorrectly and test it with that negative sort of mindset, which I know sounds weird, but you're hypercritical. And you need to say, okay, I've totally screwed this up. This is not at all measuring the way I want it to. Let me go find out why, right? And then you sort of like go, oh, no, actually, it totally is, right? Or this is the best case scenario, you actually do see the mistakes because that's what you're looking for. And you go, oh my God, it was the wrong title of the video, or actually it wasn't tracking the video title. I thought it was. Let me go add that in. And you sort of just go from there. So I think those are kind of the basics. 1, not measuring at all. 2, not planning if you are measuring. So you plan ahead first. And 3 is make sure you trust but verify, which is go back. Don't look for where you set it up correctly. Go back for where it's incorrect and look for mistakes. Assume you make mistakes. Like just assume it. Don't look for them like because you don't make mistakes. Let's go see. No, it's I made a mistake. I'm going to go find it. And then once that's done, you've got something in place that you can actually start useful.
I like that approach, and it's a good mindset to make sure that you're being constructively critical of your own stuff, to find what a mistake might be. So I know this is going to be a very difficult question to answer at a high level, but I think it's a good topic for us to explore. So what are some baseline metrics that people should be expecting to determine, okay, we're tracking everything. We tested it out. It's working well. Like, how do we know is this good or bad?
What's the definition of good?
Right.
So I'm going to give you that standard consultant answer, which is it depends. And I hate that answer, but it has to be it depends because of video. Like I can answer that question in terms of direct response marketing funnels, right? Or webinars or how an e-commerce site performs because they all generally perform kind of the same way. Yeah. But that's because they're all kind of the same thing. They all function in the same way. A video, radically different. So I have membership site videos. Well, the definition of good there might not be 100% of the people play the videos because maybe it's not made for 100% of the people. Right. But a sales video that I've got on a sales page, I definitely want more people playing for that. So that my expectation, this goes back to the planning process, right? You forecast out what the definition of good is. My expectation is that most people that are hitting that page, it's like, 60, 70% are going to hit the play button because it's a message for them. But if it's a testimonial video that's built to support that message later on, well, not everyone's going to interact with that. Right. So you sort of measure and then you'll take a look. Okay, is this doing a thing I want it to do? Yeah. And kind of there. So I hate answering it depends because I feel like it's a cop out sometimes. Yeah. But with video, it is completely different because the product itself is as different as what's a direct response funnel numbers versus webinar funnel. Like they're just totally different things. And so it depends on the video.
And that's why yeah, and I think it's why it's good as a starting question. And now let's kind of explore the topic. So let's say, like for instance, email marketing. Someone who's never been in email marketing before, they send an email and they come back and they're like, they got 30% open rate and they're crushed by it because they're thinking, why didn't everyone open it, right? But in reality,
like 30%, holy cow,
30% is amazing, right? Yeah. And so, you mentioned a couple different types of video, right? So we have, there's sales letters, VSL style, there's webinar style, there's course videos on the back end for e-learning stuff, and then there's kind of the content marketing videos that might sit on your blog and educate people. So with those different types of videos, like, can you give some you know, again, all with the caveat of this depends, and test your own stuff and check with in your own industry. But, you know, what are the typical, you know, how many percentage of people who hit play on a VSL versus a webinar, and percentage of like watch through kind of times that people should expect? Like, we're doing okay, we're doing terrible, or we're doing fantastic?
Yeah, so definitely with that caveat, again, like, it depends on your situation, but how I would forecast it. So if I was going to do an above the fold, right, and this is what is so important about video, because this is why I said it's going to be kind of impossible to answer this, but I'll give you some formulas you can use to figure it out, like how would I predict how my video should do. Right. If it's an above the fold video, theoretically, 100% of the people who are loading that page are seeing that video, right? So there's 100% impressions. Yep. So I can say, well, of those, if the primary call to action is the video and not scroll down to learn more, right, then I would expect the majority. So I can say, okay, let's say 70, 80% are clicking that play button, because some people are going to scroll through whatever, right? Yep. And so, but if that video is below the fold, only half my audience is probably seeing it anyway. Right. So now you go, well, now I'm not going to have as many impressions. So you can look at that percentage and say, yes, but again, if that call to action is to interact with the video, then you should expect a higher play engagement rate. But if it's competing about, let's say the video is there to support, like, for example, testimonial section. I got a bunch of written testimonials. I got some video testimonials. You're not going to have 70 or 80% play video testimonials, because that section is fulfilling what it needs to do. And the video is there for people that want to watch video, but not everybody. Right. So that's going to be a lot lower. You know, it's not as easy to do as like a webinar structure where you can say, oh, well, I'm going to have a 30% show rate to a webinar, because that's just how webinars work, right? So that's going to be a lot harder. And then in terms of the call to actions for the videos, again, it depends what the call to action is. Some videos don't have one. It's just like, hey, here's information for you. Others totally will have one. And then it's going to depend, because the one thing all videos I can say definitely have in common is that, like, every analytics platform will basically show you that same thing. Here's what's happening. Everybody engages that first couple of minutes. So from a marketing perspective, spend that time really filtering down, and this is kind of a little different. So, like, a lot of people try to keep that going across the top. It's almost impossible. Like, it's going to happen. So what you do is, if that's going to happen anyway, I got to make sure that I'm putting everything I can to make sure that by the time it hits the bottom, it's only the right people are at that bottom listening to me and engaging. So you spend the first 2 minutes making sure you're really nailing down your message. Who's this for? Who's this not for? Who should keep watching? And who is it okay to go off, right? Because they will.
You know, I think that's
how you keep that.
That's a great tip, to make sure that the people who watch through are the right people, because I think it's easy to take the idea of, how do we just do something to get everyone to keep watching, or a mistake of saying, well, everyone's going to drop off after 20%. So in the first 20%, we have to cram in our offer, right? And so that everyone sees it.
When there's no value built, so now you don't. Now people who could buy it won't, and everyone else is like, okay, this is not relevant.
Exactly. And you're losing everybody on the table. So I think that's a really key distinction there for people to recognize here, is that there's going to be a drop off in your video, and that's okay. What you want to make sure is that you're adding the right value up front, so that the right people stick through and watch, and then the people who do watch will be interested in whatever the next step is, if it's watch another video or download a lead magnet or buy your product, whatever it is. But knowing, you know, having that proper expectation of the number is going to drop off, but that's okay. Make sure you're providing relevant content that keeps the right people engaged throughout and paying attention.
It's like if you're a surfer, right? You surf for the waves. You don't argue with, oh, the wave shouldn't be like this, right? It's like, no, we go with what the wave is. And that wave is there every single time, every single video. They all do that. A 3-minute testimonial video has that little thing, right? So, I mean, maybe not 3 minutes because they're shorter, but you get the point. I think with real content, it does that. So instead of fighting that, right, which, again, the two options are have a much shorter conversation, right, which essentially is still just that little bit being measured over time, or okay, hey, let's just go with it. We know it's going to happen anyway. Let's really, really focus on the messaging.
Yeah, that's good. So, you know, now we know we're planning ahead and we're creating a strategy for, like, what it is we're going to measure. You've kind of even laid out, like, based on that strategy, what our dashboard would look like what should be included. I don't know if you want to recap that again. Like, if we're building out a dashboard of our metrics for a video funnel, you know, what are those key performance indicators we should have on the dashboard?
Yeah, so it would be obviously broken down by video. Let's say you've got different videos, you can rotate them through. Like if I have a membership site, I might create a dashboard that shows me all the different membership site videos that I've got, or sales videos, break it down by that. Then number of impressions, which is how many people could even possibly interact with this. You got to know a starting point. Of those, how many took the initial action, which is probably going to be play. But again, if they autoplay, that doesn't count anymore, right? So you got to keep that in mind. But let's say they played the video, and then how many of those actually engaged? That's where your view-throughs or your views are coming from in terms of how long are they watching it, right? How many made it through the 25 or 50 or 75? There are tools that you can, set up, like Tag Manager will help you set up by percentage or by time. You can say, well, 2 minutes in or 3 minutes and 57 seconds because that's where I put this one little piece that I wanted them to know. Yeah. I know there's platforms out there that'll do that too, like Ziotag does that,
right?
Where you can measure and say, okay, here's this little piece. When this thing happens, then do this. Go tell Facebook and put them in the audience. Right. So you'd have that, those sort of things in the dashboard because you want to know, is it accomplishing the things that it's supposed to accomplish? Right. And so that's why you set up those measurements. And then ultimately that call to action, right? Did those people achieve the thing I wanted to achieve, which could be a lead that you did or a purchase. But the trick is measuring not just for that end result. Like I had 10,000 people watch the video and 3 people purchase, because that doesn't help you solve that. Well, where was the breakdown, right? Did they just, those 3 people like watch the entire thing or not watch the entire thing? Or you can break it down so you can see how they actually got there. And that helps you to adjust the messaging for the next time and optimize your videos.
Yeah. All right, so you touched on some tools. Ziotag is a great tool. Everybody, you can get a free account, ziotag.com. You can upgrade to the Business Pro for more advanced analytics. But you mentioned a couple things that Google Data Studio, Tag Manager, Ziotag. What should be in the video marketer's toolbox when it comes to reporting and analytics?
So definitely a platform. If you can get a video platform, if you're using a video platform that has the measurement like Ziotag, so much the better, right? Because it's already in there and it's built for that. Otherwise, absolutely Tag Manager needs to sit on top of this stuff because you can customize, especially if you're using YouTube. But there's also things out there for Vimeo and Wistia, right? For that, so you can customize a little bit.
And for the record, Ziotag works with all those videos. We're not hosting them, right? So really,
that's true. Yeah, exactly. You're sort of sitting on top of that.
Yeah. So we're sitting on top, so you can still have it in YouTube, Wistia, Vimeo. Ziotag will sit on top and then track as people go through the different tags of the video. And we could even integrate with a Tag Manager snippet where you can have that fired off. So, it's not one or the other. We actually, for anybody who wants to use our tool, that's possible. So,
And then from there, once you've got all information stored, then you can import it into Data Studio, right? So like Tag Manager can put in stuff in Analytics. Analytics can go into Data Studio. Data Studio also integrates if you are doing a YouTube channel, right? It has a built-in integration with YouTube. So it will have some of those metrics automatically measured for you. You can just pull them in from there. So, that's kind of where it goes. The other thing is kind of the benefit of putting into something like analytics, even Ziotag, right? So it's traffic sources. So very different from affiliate A going, let's say you do a lot of affiliate marketing. Affiliate A might have a completely different audience when it comes to that video than affiliate B does. Affiliate A might be sending it from email traffic that they already have a know, like, and trust relationship with. Affiliate B might be doing like CPA network stuff and they just skip right past, right? But if you just look at everything and say, well, how's my affiliate traffic doing? It's like, well, it sucks, but does it? Because maybe affiliate A is amazing, and then you go, hey, no, affiliates, you got to do email. Like that's what really want to crush this.
And I think that just in terms of each individual affiliate type of thing, or is it coming from paid Facebook traffic? Is it coming from organic SEO? Like all those things. Is it coming from your own email list, like you said, that knows, likes, and trusts you? So I think for the viewers watching this and listening is that, make sure that your expectations are not how is this video going to perform in general, but based on how you are promoting it, right? So if you're promoting it to people who already know, like, and trust you, you should expect that channel to drive higher engagement and watch throughs, right? And if you're doing cold audience, and then that helps you with where you're going to invest your time, money, and energy on scaling up the promotion of that video or where you're going to make your next videos.
Yep, absolutely right.
Yeah. So everything's stored. They have their data studio. We've helped everybody with the basics. As we push to wrap up here, let's get into some advanced tips that you have. What do you see the guys who are really crushing it with their video marketing? What are they doing that's maybe a little different that helps them get to the next level?
I honestly, I think the biggest tip is that you sort of zig instead of where everyone's zagging, and it's that 2-minute window. Really focusing there. They dial in, like they know that's their real estate. That is the above the fold. Right. In video terms, right? So you focus on the above the fold. You don't worry about changing the bottom of the page if it's not working theoretically, right? Because if you're not getting people to scroll down, then who cares about changing the bottom of the page? It's the same thing with the video. Is the video off or off? Well, hey, if that now that dip is happening, but again, is it happening and you're getting the wrong people to watch and they don't care about that offer? So you focus really, really tightly on that 2-minute window. Make sure you've got the right. So you by the end, the probabilities are you are talking to the right people and you've got the right message for them with the right offer by the end. Right? That's kind of what you're trying to do. I think that's the absolute biggest thing. But again, you got to measure for it because you don't know that otherwise, right? And that's how and you'll know that because let's say you do versions of a video when you're split testing it or something, you might have the first version that has a horrible click rate going through, right? So either the watch rate maybe is there, but the conversion rate isn't, right? The click-through rate. The second video that you really adjust that 2 minutes, and even the body of the copy sort of stayed the same, but you made sure the right people were seeing that message, you get a higher bump on the click-through rate. That's theoretically, that's how you do this, is you would say, well, I'm going to focus on 2 minutes. I should see, a 30% bump to my click-through rate now for that call to action based on the fact I'm spending so much time on this, 2-minute period. And then you test for that and make sure that you get it. So that's the trick, is you have to forecast out what the result's going to be and then measure against what that forecast is based on the changes you're making. So it's a very scientific method, but that's how you know that, yes, this little dial that I moved caused this result. And that makes you better at sort of understanding that language of the marketplace when it comes to video.
Yeah. All right. And so, people want to learn more from you. Obviously, measurementmarketing.io is a great resource. Do you have any other go-to places when it comes to, kind of video analytics, video reporting kind of stuff? Where else can people check out to get more kind of content and information?
It's from a dashboard perspective, because we do a lot of dashboards. I always like using the AppSpot. There's actually a gallery that's on Data Studio. So it's like Data Studio Gallery. You just search for it and Google for it. You'll see a bunch of different sites. But there's a lot of different visualizations that are coming through for video. So you can go through and look at those just to get some inspiration as to what people are looking at. And then more importantly, how are they building those reports? I am not a fan of copying somebody's template because it's designed to answer their questions, not necessarily yours. Right. But I love those for inspiration. So that's what I would do, is to say, like, what are people tracking? What are the different YouTube dashboards that are out there, if that's what you use? Or what are the different dashboards that other people are using for video? And that's what I would do. Start there.
I like that. I like that, going to Data Studio and searching there. That's cool for inspiration. All right, so Chris, thanks so much. A ton of value in here. We really got through a lot to help people improve their videos by understanding all the analytics and statistics and all that kind of thing and creating their reports. So next steps for our viewers and listeners, where can they find you if they want to learn more and kind of get started on the more, professional, advanced level where they can take their skills to the next level on this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a ton of courses and training available at measurementmarketing.io. So that would actually be the best next place for them to start out. And we'd be happy to help them. We also have a big bunch of free resources as well. So we'll give you a link to the free resources, because some of that at least get you started, before you have to buy anything. At least you can kind of get started, make sure it's something that's going to be right for you.
Yep. And believe everybody that Chris will be measuring how that traffic is converting when it comes from Ziotag.com. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to get your videos better tracked, definitely get a free account at Ziotag.com and see how our player works, and check out Chris's site for some free resources as well. Thank you for watching and listening, and make sure you go check out measurementmarketing.io to see more from Chris. Thank you very much, and thanks, Chris. We'll see you guys on the next episode.